Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to discuss this incredibly important matter. My name is Sam Harton. I'm an attorney with the law firm Romanucci Blandin. Also here with us is Bhavani Ravindran. She's the partner of the civil rights team at Romanucci Blandin. And our co-counsel, Harold Boone, is the founding partner of Boone Law Firm in Atlanta. Together, we represent the family of Alexis Sluder. And today, Alexis's mother, father, and two brothers are here as well. Yesterday, we filed a lawsuit against 5 state correctional employees, 1 county deputy, and 1 municipality seeking justice for their role in the death of Alexis Sluder. 16-year-old Alexis, also goes by Lexi, was a beauty pageant contestant. She won Prettiest Smile. She played softball, but she had struggles with her mental health, and she needlessly died in the Department of Juvenile Justice's Elbert Shaw Regional Youth Detention Center hours after being arrested. Alexis died just weeks before her 17th birthday in a juvenile detention facility in Dalton, Georgia. She had run away from home because she had been struggling with some mental health issues previously for many years. She had been missing when she was finally picked up by the police. And when she was picked up by the police, her family should have been able to breathe a sigh of relief that she would now be safe in the custody of government officials of the state of Georgia, whose sworn peace officers had a duty to monitor her health and safety. Unfortunately, Alexis Sluder was placed into custody under the supervision of the defendants in this lawsuit: Rebecca Phillips, Mavis Brooks, Russell Ballard, David McKinney, and Monica Hedrick. When she entered the facility, Lexi was placed on a protocol that required a heightened level of monitoring because she had ingested dangerous substances and had identified significant mental health concerns, both of which the defendants were aware. These defendants had every reason to keep a close eye on her health and safety, and it was their responsibility to do so. Defendants Rebecca Phillips, Mavis Brooks, and Russell Ballard did watch Alexis Sluder for the rest of the night. But instead of monitoring her health and safety, they watched her die, and they did nothing to help her. Alexis started to show symptoms of a medical emergency soon after she was booked into the Elbert Shaw Regional Youth Detention Center, and that continued for over 4 hours. She writhed around on the floor, she sweated profusely, she breathed heavily, and it was obvious that she was in extreme pain. At one point, she said audibly, "Someone help me, I took something." As she laid on the ground, she physically reached towards Defendant Phillips for help, but the officer just stood above her, doing nothing. For the last 2 hours of her medical emergency, Alexis laid on the ground, barely moving. Defendants Brooks, Phillips, and Ballard looked on as Alexis suffered an extremely painful overdose in front of them. We know that they were aware Alexis was suffering and was experiencing a medical emergency because they called their supervisor, David McKinney, and they called the nurse, Monica Hedrick. And all of these people had multiple conversations about Alexis's symptoms. They asked Gilmore County Sheriff Sergeant Sharon Ellis to transport her to the hospital, but she refused to do so due to her understanding of a Gilmore County policy that prevented her from transporting a juvenile who she had released to the Department of Juvenile Justice, even though the person was having a medical emergency. Faced with a dying teenager literally in front of them, they collectively threw up their hands and decided to do nothing for over 4 hours. No one took it upon themselves to transport her on her own. No one tried to find another officer who could take her. No one even picked up the phone to call 911 until after Alexis stopped breathing. So we bring this lawsuit against the 6 individuals for the choices they made that night, which prolonged her suffering and eventually led to her death. They all violated the Constitution of the United States when they learned a child in their custody was suffering a serious medical emergency and chose to do absolutely nothing and deprived her of necessary medical care for over 4 hours, despite ample options and opportunities to help her. We also bring this lawsuit against Gilmore County, whose unconstitutional policy of preventing deputies from transporting juveniles like Alexis in deadly situations like this one was a moving force behind the deprivation of necessary medical care. This is what happens when sworn officers fail to uphold their duty to protect and serve. When government entities fail to maintain processes that ensure the health and safety of the people and the juveniles in their custody. All she needed was to go to the hospital. And for 4 hours, these government officials could not even bother to pick up the phone and call 911. They were unreasonable, they were indifferent, they were cruel. Lexi deserved better. Because of the choices that they made that night, a family lost their 16-year-old daughter. She never got to graduate high school. She never got to meet her baby nephew. Lexi left behind her mom, Melanie Sluder, her dad, Ricky Curtis, and her 4 brothers, Kyle, Jaron, Kane, and Jackson. Lexi had a close family, amazing friends, and a strong community who have all come together in support of justice for Lexi. And now I'm going to turn it over to my co-counsel, Harold Boone.
Thank you for the words. First, I would like to say, my name is Harold Boone with the Boone Firm PC here in Atlanta. And as a father of 2 young girls, aged 1 and 7, I am deeply disturbed by the preventable death of Lexi. My oldest daughter's name is Alexandria, and we often call her Lexi, much like Miss Sluder. Needless to say, this case is deeply personal for me on several accounts. The stated mission of the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice is to transform young lives by providing evidence-based rehabilitative treatment services and supervision, strengthening the well-being of youth and families, and fostering safe communities. Unfortunately, these are great words for law enforcement agencies tasked with protecting juveniles to live by, but they are only worth the paper they are written on when you have officers like Mavis Brooks and Rebecca Phillips looking a child in the eye, watching her suffer, watching her die, and doing nothing. Unfortunately, the officers who have been sworn to protect and serve us all failed their duties, and they failed Lexi. This kind of situation, unfortunately, can never be remedied. A child is dead and we cannot bring her back. But what we are seeking is accountability, which can come in 3 forms: administrative, criminal, and civil. It is our understanding that many of the officers involved have been terminated, which is a step towards administrative accountability. 5 state employees who watched Alexis Sluder die on August 27, 2022 have been indicted and are currently undergoing a criminal prosecution for child cruelty. And we thank Whitfield County District Attorney Ben Kinnemer and his entire office for taking those steps toward criminal accountability. Today, our legal team, or technically yesterday, our legal team is taking the first steps towards civil accountability, and we look forward to fighting for justice for Alexis and her family. With those thoughts, I'm going to turn it over for a few words from the family.
Melanie, would you like to read your statement, or would you like me to do it for you? Oh, she's muted.
I think it would be better if you did, Sam, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
of course. So this is a statement on behalf of Melanie that Melanie wrote in anticipation for this event. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read her words for her. I remember being so excited that Lexi was a girl. After 2 boys, I got my girl, and that's what she was. She was my girl, mama's girl. She was a joy as a baby, so beautiful. Lexi Lou had a special glow about her from the time she was born. She could turn her brothers into mush in a second with those big brown doe eyes and contagious laugh. But if that didn't work, she was always ready to use the I'll beat you up routine. She was a child who was kind and very helpful and craved learning about everything around her. Lexi turned out to be very popular with her classmates from an early age. She liked everyone and seemed to have an old soul. She later showed us all of her wonderful traits, and I understand now that glow. Her gift was being helpful and giving a sense of peace to people. She could make you feel like you were the only person in the room that mattered. She was very empathetic from early on and smart as a whip. She was on honor roll, like doing beauty pageants and playing softball and spending time with friends. They would run me everywhere and eat us out of the house and home. But that's where she liked to be, home. And that's where I wanted her to be, home. Lexi had hopes and dreams. She planned on becoming a teacher one day. She had started a Naval Air Squad teenage division because she wanted to go into the military. I have her notebook where she would write down her short-term goals and long-term goals and her favorite Bible verses. She would show them to me proudly. And now this is what I'm doing for my daughter. She was so full of life and curiosity. I didn't get to watch her pick out her first car, go to the prom, or graduate this past year with her friends. Things she had been looking forward to. I am lost without her. Not a minute goes by that I don't think about her and what she would be doing. Hearing her sweet voice saying, "What are you cooking, Ma? I'm hungry." Listening to her make little videos or seeing that beautiful, beautiful smile that no one could look at without smiling back. Her brother's children will never get to meet her and be a part of her lives. Her friends still grieve over her daily. She is not someone that could be forgotten, and she definitely won't be someone that you remember for her death. We will make sure of that. I can smile through my tears when I speak her name because of the love she had and demonstrated daily through it all, and the change that she did with her too short of time with us, and that she's doing now and will bring about all in her name. Lexi is very loved and very cared for. You have no idea what was taken from our family when we lost Lexi and the pieces of us she took with her home. Lexi will forever be remembered through us, and we will never stop talking about her or stop fighting for her, but we will continue to love through all the pain because that's what she would want us to do, and that's what she would do. So I'm going to turn it over to Jaren. Jaren, would you like to read your statement? You're on mute.
You can read it for me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's okay, please. Thank you.
This statement is on behalf of Jaren Curtis that he wrote before this. Jaren is Lexi's brother. My name is Jaren, and I am one of the 4 brothers Lexi had. We are only 2 months apart in age, so I pretty much had a twin. My sister was an amazing person with the most rambunctious personality. She was not afraid to speak her mind. She was real and was always herself. Lexi was my best friend, and I always could go to her, and whatever the matter was, she was there for me. No one knew more about me than her. The day I lost my best friend, I lost a piece of myself. People will say time will heal everything, but as time goes on, her not being here only hurts worse. There are so many things she will never get to experience. Many parts of that feel incredibly unfair. Anytime something funny, interesting, achieving happened to me, my sister was one of the first people I would call. I wish every day that I could just pick up my phone and tell her everything or even just about my day. There will never again be a day that I don't miss her radiant smile and amazingly goofy personality. And so finally, we have Kyle Sluder. Kyle, would you like to read your statement?
I will. So I'm Kyle Sluder. I'm Lexi's oldest brother, and I wrote this. Oh how I wish I could rewind the clock to see you one more time. I carry your picture in my truck so we can continue to take car rides and jam out. I saw a video today that Hannah took of us practicing your pitching, and boy, could you have used it. I'll never forget the short time we had together, Lexi Lou, whether that be helping with your math homework or taking that dreadful ride to school in the mornings. You were always so kind and loving, always wanting to help where you could, and always making everyone have a good laugh. Your heart was made of gold, and everyone who knew you knew that. You were smart, sweet, beautiful, and the most precious sister a brother could ask for. I'm sorry the way everyone handled your situation the night you passed. I will never forget that phone call. My heart physically hurts because I know that was not who you truly were. You would have turned out to be an amazing woman, mother, and productive member of society, and I'm so damn angry that was robbed from you. Life has been quite confusing since you've been gone. I think of you often, and I find myself talking to you in my head. I try not to reflect on the what ifs because the damage is already done and nothing will change that. I promise my kids will know who you are and what you meant to me. I promise I'll never stop saying your name. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, family, for those words. I know they were not difficult. I mean, they were extremely difficult to write, whether you delivered them yourselves or not. We would like now to open up our press conference to questions. If any member of the press has a question, if you can please indicate so in the chat, and we will call on you and unmute you so that you can speak with the legal team. Thank you. Latricia Milburn. Scott, if you may please unmute Latricia.
Hey guys, I work for WTVC in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I wanted to know if you guys could talk about what the autopsy report showed was in Lexi's system, and if you know where she got it.
So I can take that question. We discuss the dangerous substances that were in her system in the complaint. Frankly, it's not relevant to this case and this matter generally. No one disputes the fact that Lexi, her official cause of death was methamphetamine toxicity, and unfortunately, the defendants in this case, they knew she had taken dangerous substances, and they sat back and did nothing, and that's really what this case is about.
And just one follow-up. What is the protocol, or is there a protocol that you hope to see change specifically about how this was handled? Or in your mind, is this just more of people who were working there who ignored the proper protocol?
So our understanding at this point is that the protocol was that Lexi was supposed to be under constant monitoring as soon as she was put in the jail, because she was put on that heightened level of monitoring. As far as what the officials were supposed to do once they realized that she was having a medical emergency, even though they knew from the beginning that she was at a serious risk of having a medical emergency. And then as soon as they began watching her having those symptoms, there were a multitude of things that they could have done. I think in the lawsuit, as we get more discovery and we get more information, we're certainly going to learn even more things that they could have done and even more things that they should have done.
Thank you. And then you mentioned some of the things that she said to the officers when she was experiencing that medical emergency. Is that captured on video, or is that from interviews with them after?
So there was a video that captured the entire over 4 hours of her overdose. It's extremely painful to watch, and it is not available to the public at this time.
And one final question, and I'll let somebody else go. One of our previous reporting stories was about the director there in Dalton and how he had been disciplined previously to this incident. but was still on the job. Can you speak to that a little bit and how you feel that should have played into whether he should have been in place when this happened?
Absolutely. Our understanding is that David McKinney had been not only disciplined, but disciplined a few times, and disciplined before he was promoted to assistant director. Those sorts of occurrences in the past, policy violations, should absolutely be taken into consideration when deciding whether to put someone in charge of a facility. Our understanding at this time is that Mr. McKinney was actually the highest ranking person there who had authority within a supervisory position. And he was in that supervisory position despite past instances of misconduct.
Thank you.
Harold, is there anything else you would like to add to that series of questions?
I think one of the questions from Mrs. Milburn is what we would like to see changed, or what policy we would like to see happen. What we have learned thus far is that Gilmer County purportedly had a policy that prevented them from transporting individuals to the hospital if they've been released to the custody of another department. And that is one policy, I think, a common sense policy that needs to be basically implemented, that doesn't really matter whose custody the person is in. If you notice that they're having a medical emergency, that you should be able to transport them to the hospital.
Don't remind me to get it out. I'll be here.
Thank you. We have another question from David Arrow. Scott, if you would please unmute David.
Hey, I was just wondering, was that,
David, could you tell us please your media outlet?
yes, I'm with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Thank you.
I was just wondering why, after her arrest in Union City, was that detention center the nearest one there, for you guys, and why she was taken there?
Our understanding is that she was taken to the nearest detention facility in the jurisdiction where she was picked up. Then she was transferred by a Gilmer County deputy from that facility to the state facility, which is where she eventually passed away. So yes, there are a few jurisdictions involved.
And that state facility was the nearest one, to Union City and where the jail was. Is that correct?
I'm not quite sure about as far as exact miles, but yes, that's our understanding, is that she would have been taken to the closest state-run facility.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Harold, again, I'll make sure that you don't have anything else you'd like to contribute to that question.
No, not really. The only thing I'll say is, as discovery unfolds and we get more evidence, we'll officially flesh out why she was taken to that facility versus another one. And we'll be happy to update you later.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you. I am not seeing any other questions in the chat. I will just give one more second here for any other reporter to announce themselves in a question. And as we do that, let me please just thank you all for your attendance, for your coverage of this very, very important story. It is certainly critical to the Sluder and Curtis family, but this is of tremendous importance to the entire community. We appreciate your coverage. Please reach out to me if you need anything else. You should be able to email me the way that I have been in touch with you in the last 2 days, and we appreciate your time. Thank you very much to all.
Thank you.
Good day.